Marie and I realise that we're slightly tardy this morning, despite our best intentions for being all organised. So doesn't that introduce our topic really, really well, Marie? Are we living
yes.
in heaven or are we living in hell here?
And how quickly it can change.
Yeah. Oh dear, the best laid plans. So
yes.
Wherever you are with us, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Annette McCoy and this is Marie Brunger, who is my special guest again today. And wherever you may be, would you like to come over to Angel Heart Radio Facebook page? Because when you join us there, you can join in the conversation. And we delight in having conversations with people from all over the world. Before we start, may I remind you that these shows should never replace your legal, medical, nor professional advice, nor your own sound judgment. Marie,
look,
are we living in heaven or are we living in hell? I
don't. Right now, I have to charge this thing because it's telling me it's going flat. So you'll have to excuse me for a minute while I plug it into the charger.
There you go.
I'll be back in a minute.
Very well said. All right, everybody. Well, see, we never know what's going on, do we? We think we do. We always think that we know what's going on, but we don't necessarily. And so it's really important that we tune in and think about, okay, what is going on and why is it going on? And sometimes those answers will surprise us. Now, I'll let you in on a secret. Marie said this morning she likes to be early. She likes to be early so that she's organised, da-da-da-da-da. So we were organised and then the internet dropped out. So for her, isn't it interesting? See, we think we're organised, we think we know what's going on, we think we're in charge, and guess what? We ain't. I've learned that the hard way a couple of times when I've really thought that, yep, I'm in control of my life. Well, guess what? No, I'm not.
Well, I love Tony Robbins often talks about certainty versus uncertainty and how so many people need to be so certain in their life, you know. And it makes me laugh because something as simple as this, being ready for you, everything's sitting there on screen, and within the moment, you're disappeared off the screen, I'm off the screen, and the internet's down, and then plugging in the phone and then the battery not being charged. It's like, it's hilarious. How can we be certain about anything?
Well, we've had a good laugh. I hope Belinda's laughing. Belinda, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you've got a cuppa like Marie and I have.
Oh, it's good to have a laugh, isn't it?
Well, it is, and it's interesting because I felt that I needed to ring Rosemary Butterworth this morning, and I said, I've got 5 minutes. I really need to touch base with you. And Rosemary shared with me a joke. She said, Annette, I have to read this to you. And somebody were using a GPS in their car, and anyway, they turned into the cemetery, and the GPS kindly told them that they had reached their final destination. And so Rosemary is coming on in a couple of weeks, and our topic is going to be something like what makes you what starts your smile.
Yes.
It's so important that we have laughing. And Belinda's laughing. Life will run its course. And Belinda loves laughing at the bleeps. Indeed. And that's a great word too, bleep.
Bleep. What the bleep do we know?
Yeah. At times, not much.
So, are we living in heaven or are we living in hell?
Mm.
Great question, isn't it?
Well, I think so. I like to think that I'm living in heaven. And it's somebody recently said, I think it was Maureen St. Germain, that every morning we can say, today may we all have a day of heaven on earth.
I agree. And it brings up just with that the power, for me, the power of prayer. Putting it out there. I pray for everyone. You don't even have to use the word prayer, but just that today, this is what I command, I ask for, is for everyone to experience heaven on earth. I love that. I think that's the quickest and simplest, most beautiful thing we can ask for every morning, isn't it? Now,
this morning, Marie, I was thinking about this because when we think, when I think of heaven, especially if I say, oh, well, I'm in heaven, it means that I'm having a really, really good time. I'm very happy. And obviously, our human life is not happiness all the time.
That's right.
However, that we can, for me, yes, it's so important that I release my emotions. Don't know about you, but watching the Olympics, which I've absolutely enjoyed, I've spent so much time in tears.
Yeah, me too. I have. I cry at a drop of a hat when they tell their stories, when they win a medal, when they fail. It doesn't matter. When they go to their parents up on the harbour and I'm crying. I'm with you on that one, Annette.
How fortunate are we to be able to release our emotions? Because quite often, Marie, I will think, okay, so what's triggered this? Why am I might feel joyful for this person. I might be feeling joyful because I can see something in their life that's not in mine. It's interesting. I give thanks that I'm able to release my emotions, because whilst I'm crying with joy or whatever, I'm releasing, aren't I, at the same time?
Absolutely. People worry sometimes when others cry, and I love it. Crying is one of the best things I can do for myself, is to let myself cry, and that can usually only last for a minute, and it's like it's gone. But it's such a release for me. I find there's such a release after crying. I think most people will agree when they've had a good cry, because we'll say, what you need is a good cry. They have a good cry and they feel better. Yes. I think that I get, for you and I, when I have a good cry, if there's something I need to learn from that good cry, then I try and be aware and present while I'm crying, so I can actually see what that's all about. If it's joy, it probably doesn't matter, but if it's something else, then I try and be present with it, and just in that moment, see if there's something I need to learn from it.
Indeed.
So, but I agree with it, and go.
Belinda agrees with us, which is very good. Of course, that brings up something else as well. Sometimes we don't agree with other people. A lady the other day, a new friend here in my village, she said, just stop right there. And she said, I don't want this to go any further, because what I was talking about, she didn't agree with. And I thought, how wonderful that, yes, we didn't have to go any further. Okay, that's great. Leave it alone.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting now, just looking back on the last 10 minutes. If that had been me some time ago, I would have been panicking about the whole scenario.
Right.
About, oh my God, it's not working. Oh my God, now what? That's how I would have been at one stage. And I watched myself go through this. Well, what's the worst can happen? And I'll have to run the show without me. Hey,
Yes.
and that'll happen too, you know. And so it was good to watch myself go through them, then have a good laugh with you about the whole thing. To me, that's heaven. To
Right.
me, it's being in the middle of what would have been a crisis a long time ago for me. Oh my God. To now having that same thing come up and then laughing about it, I'm going, that's living heaven on earth. Because for me, even when we can be in hell, well, let's have a look at the scenario around us at the moment with all the lockdowns and things. For some people, that would be hell. But you can find heaven within that hell. And I think that heaven belongs in here again. It's that sense of joy and happiness and peace. So even when in the midst of crisis, we can still turn inwards and find that piece of heaven and live that piece of heaven, even while we're in this chaos is going on around us. And I think the Olympics are a fine example of that too. With all the chaos that's going on around them, how focused are they? How very much in the moment are they to be able to still do what they went there to do? I think it's absolutely amazing. And that's their heaven. Are they in hell while they're over there? Absolutely not. Most of them are in heaven, whether they win or lose. And again, I feel that if you talk to an Olympic athlete, or if you talk to an actress or an actor, you talk to most people for that matter, I think that heaven we can live heaven on earth is our natural state. I believe that. However, it doesn't mean to say we don't have our nightmares come up, or our evil or the hell come up while, like an Olympic journey. Their dream or their piece of heaven is winning a gold, if you like. It's external, of course. But then hell comes up along the way if they break a leg or they fall over or they get disqualified. That's their little bit of hell. So I think we all most of us go through hell, and then heaven's on the other side. And I think we just have to keep going through these uncomfortable places that we might call hell to keep finding that beautiful comfort that heaven offers us. And I think we've got to encompass both heaven and hell as a part of our journey. But are we focusing on the hell, or are we focusing on the heaven? And I think the more we focus on heaven, the more we bring that in, which is the joy that we mentioned, and the happiness and the laughter and the peace and the quiet. So yeah,
I'm drawn, Marie, to when a loved one passes. Now that my belief is, yes, they're going to heaven. Another heaven, and that's wonderful for them. However, for those of us left behind, it's tough. It's a really, really tough time.
Yes.
However, within that, there is the camaraderie. We spend special time with our family. Friends are there to support us. It's through adversity that we learn the most, not only about ourselves, well, a lot about ourselves, but also about how much support there is. Yeah. Because quite often when things are going along really, really well, people, they might call us, but there isn't, I know myself, I will tend to call someone if I know they're going through a tough time, rather than simply ringing because I want to ring.
Right. Yeah. And I think look, I like to call, I think I'm one of those people that love to call to say hello. I also love to call to celebrate people's life, whatever that might be, even the little celebrations in life. My sister recently retired, and I thought it was a big deal, a huge deal. So I just needed to convey that to her, because I'd love to share people's dreams. I love to share people's piece of heaven with them, you know. Yeah. But like you, I also am there for them if they're going through a bit of hell as well. And if I sense they're going through something, I will always ring them. Because I think when they're going through hell, we can offer our piece of heaven.
Now, Belinda has a lovely comment too. I think often the road from hell often leads to heaven through the lessons we have learned along the way, the pathway. Absolutely, yes.
Beautiful, I love it. I believe heaven is always on the other side of hell. You know, there's always release on the other side of chaos. There's always comfort on the other side of discomfort. We just have to allow ourselves to go through that discomfort to get to the other side. It's always, the grass is greener on the other side. I think for me, that means it'll be greener once we get through this little piece of pain, whatever that is for somebody. The grass will be greener on the other side of this pain. I think that's so true. Yes, I do. So I think I'm with you. I think there's we can all live heaven on earth, and I think that for me is my goal, I suppose, no matter what's going on in my life, to turn inward and find that glory that allows us to go through the difficulties that we're going through. I know if I didn't have that inner connection for me, I don't know how I'd be coping coming through all this mess with COVID. That's why I have compassion for people that are going through what they're going through. And my prayer for them is that I hope you find some heaven in all of this, so that they can find it easier for them to get through this difficult period, through the lockdowns and things like that, which are affecting people, a lot of people more than others. How is that? Why does it affect this group of people more than it affects this group of people? I can't answer that for them, but I know what it is for me. What about you?
Yes,
you're handling it very well.
Well, I give thanks because I have time for me. So it's what can I do at home? So there are pursuits like jigsaws. I've been doing jigsaws that I haven't done since last time.
Me too.
With time on my hands. So, you know, and I think I'm getting better at them, which is really cool. I think it's how we look at something. And so do we see this as an opportunity, or do we see it as, oh my goodness, I've got X amount of time where supposedly I'm not allowed to go out?
Yes. And I'm with you. Everything that's presented us in life, we can look at it as a problem or a solution, or a problem or an opportunity. And it's so easy when a lot of people are getting caught up in a problem to get caught up with them. And I think it takes a lot of awareness, or some awareness, to be able to go, no, I've got a choice here. I can be a part of this problem, or I can seek for the opportunity. And like you, I seek the opportunity. How does this really affect my life? What's the real problem here? What's this lockdown preventing me from really doing? And when I think about it, it doesn't prevent me from doing very much at all. I may not be able to go out as much, but I can talk to you. Look at this. I mean, wow, what a wonderful morning I'm having. You know, we can use we've got, particularly now we've got the internet, we have different modalities that we can use to connect with each other. Do I still love going out for breakfast and lunch and things like that? Absolutely, I do. But, you know, if that's my only complaint in life, hey, I don't really have a problem, do I? So
when I look at the internet, Marie, and getting back to the Olympics, and yes, families would normally be over there. You know, it goes into planning, doesn't it? Families are there supporting their athletes. How fortunate that we've had the internet and that they've been able to wave at each other and cry together and celebrate together.
And so I loved it. So I loved it when they kept switching to particularly the Noosa hub. And it didn't matter what time of day it was, somebody had a glass of champagne in their hand. I'm like, oh, I wish I was there. But whoa, I like it. You know, so yeah, I agree with you. That I don't think it really did it make any difference. I don't know. Only they would know that. But how wonderful it was that there was ways, and even on the side of the courts and on the side when people finished their races, they could go up and wave to their families. Wow, that made me cry. Just that alone was enough to make me cry, to help me to realize how important it was for these people to be connected to the outside world while they're in confinement, and then they go out and race. And it was, to me, it was such a blessing. I feel that lesson, it's alone, that opportunity to see that for me was a blessing for me. It really was.
Well, and now our athletes, the swimmers are in isolation just out of Darwin. And again, I'm sure they're chewing at the bit to see their families, and their families are really chewing at the bit to see their being able to hug them. However, the other side of that is, well, they can remain with their teammates, get to know their teammates a bit more, relive. You know, instead of flying home and going straight back to their families, they're with their teammates, being able to relive that. So again, do we look on the fact that, oh, gee, I'm in isolation for 2 weeks, or do we look at it as, oh, well, this gives me the opportunity to ...
And learn from it. You know, there was one of the tennis players that played in, might have been the French Open, one of the tournaments. I just can't remember which one it was. But she had to go into isolation when she arrived before her game. So she had no training, nothing. And and she played. I don't know if she even. I think she even went right through.
Won it, didn't she?
She may have even won it, and I just can't remember. But you might be right. And then I have to ask myself, I wonder how much that two weeks of isolation worked for her. Wow, that's a lot of inner work you can do on your tennis, isn't it? While you're in isolation, you may not be able to hit a ball, but they do say that the more you practice in your mind, all that you then do is step out and put it into action. So you have to ask yourself, was it beneficial to her? And how are these Olympians going to benefit when they come back? There'll be, for some of them, I think there'll be a lot of decisions that they may want to make. Do I want to keep doing this? You know, like our swimmers, for example. And what did I learn from this? So there may be some beautiful lessons for them to learn during that 2-week period. We have no idea. Well, you might, but I don't. So look, I'm with you. I think the Olympics have come about at a wonderful time. I think I mentioned to you about a friend I have who is a really hard worker. She's worked all of her life. She's 68. She loves working, going to the gym, playing sport, and she was in Sydney, or she is in Sydney. Her job came to an end because the company went broke, and she found herself having to sell her house and move back into the heart of Sydney to find more work again. And she's been working ever since with a plan. She bought a unit with a plan to, in this is their certainty, within 5 years or 6 years or 7 years, she would sell it because the development was going on in this particular area. And that's my life, you know. And then when COVID hit, of course, she went without work for a while, and then she went back on 3 days a week. And when I said, Pauline, what about retiring? Oh, no, I like working. You know, I like working. And of course, no gym, no exercise for her. So it was a very difficult time for her, particularly the not working, because as we know, for a lot of people, our work is also our social life. And anyway, I was so surprised the other day to hear that she'd retired. And I'm going, wow, how did that happen? And not only did she was she retiring, but she was happy about it. When she gave a month's notice at work for 3 days a week, and she was happy and couldn't wait for it to end. And then they said, you know, would you mind training someone? And if you like, you can go early. She says, oh, yes, please. And I'm going, wow. So now she's doing up her unit. She's going to sell it, and then she's going to go move somewhere down by the beach. Now, you know, all that planning that she had, the when I have enough money, and when the development is finished, and when I reach this age, and she's doing it now, and she's never, and my information tells me she's never been happier than she is now. And so they're the things that come out of things like COVID. You know, the best laid plans change, and we find happiness in that change. In actual fact, we find more happiness in that change when we let go of that certainty and we step into the unknown. Because you can't tell me there's anything certain about anything right now with what's going on in the world. And it is about stepping into the unknown and having enough trust that we'll get to know what we need to know when we need to know it.
Yes.
I think the only thing we do need to know, we still need to know what's right for us, what happiness means to us. We need to know our own values and where we want to go, but with a much more open mind as to how we might attain that or which way we might go with that. Because at the end of the day, people really, what they're doing, aren't they? They're looking for security, whatever that means for everybody. Happiness, joy. When you break it right down, most people are looking for their happiness or their freedom, or their security, and all of that is found in here, isn't it, really? And then you get to live that on in the world as well. So,
Absolutely.
So that was really interesting to hear that from my friend and going, yes, someone else is right. Yes, I love it. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, is happiness without or within? No, we can seek, as the friend said, you know, I'll do this when, da, 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 da. And I've heard people say, oh, I have to work because, blah. And yet then something will happen that means that suddenly, oh, they're not working, and boom, life goes on and they're in a better place than what they even imagined they could be.
Yes. And the more I speak to people and listen to myself, the more I come to realize that if we can wake up happy for no reason. I know I have. I woke up happy and I feel really happy. I'm going, I'm really happy today. And I have no more reason than I did have yesterday. I just wake up feeling happy. And then I take that happiness out into the world and I create an even happier environment. And I think that's the important thing, is if we rely on something out there. So if I go on holiday and that makes me happy, when I come back, the holiday's over, what happens to my happiness? Yes. But if I'm happy, then that holiday just builds on it. And then when I come back from my holiday, the happiness is still there. And I feel that that's what more and more we're being asked to do, is to come from within and find all of that within us, and then go out and express it in this world in a way that we want to express it. Don't go out there to find the happiness, but take it and express it out there.
Yes. It's interesting, Marie, also to think about the words alone and lonely. Now, I can be alone, I'm not lonely. And yet others can be surrounded by people and still feel lonely.
Absolutely. And I know I've been in both of those situations. You know, and then you look at the word alone and you put an extra L in there and it becomes all one. So it's when we are alone that we feel that oneness sometimes. And I think that's another reason why it's good to be alone, so to speak, because that's when we're never alone. We're never really alone, because we've got ourselves, really. You know, I think I think we can, mostly when we're lonely, it's because we're not in touch with ourselves and we're going out there looking for something that we've already got in here. That doesn't mean that we don't make connections outside. I think they're equally as important, but the major connection is the one we have with ourselves.
Yes, and I think sometimes I know my own experience was when I didn't want to face. Once my husband passed, I kept busy, and I'd be out as much as possible, and I'd come home and I'd ring someone because I didn't want to stop. And I think, as you said, to listen to inside, you know, why am I doing something? That really helps us, because inevitably, if I don't stop myself, I will be stopped, because the body can't handle saying, hey, listen.
And it's true. I watch myself, you know, when there's something happening that I'm not comfortable with and I don't know what that discomfort is, but I can watch myself either drink more tea or eat more food or eat biscuits or eat cake or go do extra exercise or looking for someone to talk to. But I know that it's something in there that's not comfortable, and all I'm trying to do is shove down what isn't comfortable. So, and even if I can't, I watch myself do it, but I'm aware that I'm doing it, and I'm going, okay, I'm pushing something down here. And then when I stop doing it, of course, that discomfort comes out. I see what it is. It disappears in just like that, and I can move back into comfort again. But I think that resistance to pushing down that discomfort uses up all our energy. It can make us put on weight, depending if we've thrown food down our throat. We could all sorts of things. And yet how quickly it moves when we let it come up, when we just don't fight it anymore. We go, okay, I'm ready to see you. And out it comes, and it's quite often gone just like that. So our biggest fear is facing whatever emotion that is, because we don't know what it is.
Totally.
But when we face it, it doesn't matter. It's there, it's gone. And the universe supports us to release it in a way that keeps us safe. So either we're on our own, if that's what it needs to be, or we're with a best friend, or we're in exactly the right place at the right time for that to surface, to be released. So we supported the whole way to release our feelings, to release our emotions. I just don't think we always trust that. And I know I haven't always trusted that either.
No.
So it's a matter of trusting.
Yeah, I know that in the past I've feared letting go of my emotions.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, no. Keep a cap on that one.
Well, and isn't it the same as feared who I really am? Because we get to play all these roles, don't we, out there in the world? I'm a secretary, I'm an athlete, I'm a this, I'm a that. And with that comes our mask, and we're playing different roles for different people. This is from my experience. And then it's some time, okay, who am I? You go, well, I don't know. And I don't know that I want to know, because this is safe. I know who I am when I wear my different caps. But who I am, what if I find some horrible stuff about myself that I don't like? And there is stuff that I found that I didn't like. Things that if I could go back and change things, I would. But I think that's pretty normal for most people. But the fear of finding stuff that I didn't like about myself was greater than finding some good about myself. But perseverance, went through that, found all the stuff that I didn't like about myself in the past, let it go, and coming to terms with, what, I'm okay, just the way I am. Mistakes, if you like, or errors, or flaws, all the same. That's just the way it is. But it took me a long time to come to that place where it was all right for me to have flaws. I was looking for that perfection, which is a problem in itself.
Well, I like to think that I'm perfect, and boy.
Well, you are. You are.
Perfect the way I am. Yeah, well, that's true.
That's right.
It's the perfection. It's like, oh, I slipped up. Oh, I don't like that.
Yes. While I'm thinking about it, I just want to read this to you. This is, I think this sums up a few things. It's by the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama, when asked what surprised him most about humanity, answered, man, because he sacrifices his health in order to make money. Then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health. Then he is so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. The result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he's never going to die, and then he dies having never really lived. And I'm going, well, how true is that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. There's me saying, universe, I'm not going anywhere. I haven't lived fully yet. I'm going to live this life fully before I go, and I want to go slippery sliding out of here, It's not about quality for me. It's not about quantity for me. It's about quality. Give me a good quality, fulfilling life, and then I'll be happy to disappear.
Right. Yeah. And that too is up to us. It's up to me how I choose to live my life. Yes.
And I think that again with the COVID and everything else that's going on, aren't we seeing? It's interesting for me to watch that there are people that, let's say, in favour of the lockdowns, in favour of the vaccine. And when you ask, what are they looking for? They want safety for themselves and their kids. They want freedom more than anything, and good health, right? And then you look at people on the other side of the fence that don't want the vaccine, that don't want the lockdown. Why? They want safety for themselves, they want safety for their loved ones, and they want their freedom. And so I think it's really important that most of us are looking for the same outcome, but we're just doing it differently. And I think that's important just to recognise that, because otherwise we get such a huge divide between the people when we're all seeking. I spoke to my friend yesterday and we had this conversation. I said, at the end of the day, we really want the same thing. We're just doing it differently, and we're doing it based on the information that's coming in for us, and how we respond to what information. So I think it is, again, when we keep getting back to this, most people that kill, I mean, how do people kill for love? I can't get that. But they say, oh, I killed that person because I love this person. I'm going, well, it doesn't make sense, but to them it does. To them it makes every bit of sense that they're killing for love. And I'm going, it don't work for me, but still, it does for them. So it's really, again, learning from what's happening in our world right now, and doing my best not to be judgmental, and also doing my best to handle when I'm being judged.
Right. That's another biggie, isn't it? The judgment. Whoa. Yes. Belinda's saying, viewing it through different glasses. And
yes,
we can eat different things. You know, some people are vegetarians, some are carnivores, some are vegans. And isn't it, sometimes it's really easy to accept some differences in people, and yet then it seems a little trickier for some reason to accept other differences, rather than just simply saying, okay, fine, you wear different clothes, you've got a different point of view. That's okay.
Yeah, and it is okay. It needs to be okay. And some level of just respect there. You know, I don't agree with this. Even when I find it absolutely absurd, it's still important for me to have respect for those people. And I find that difficult at times, that's the truth, but it's something I still have to continually learn. Don't judge, please just keep respecting. And I guess at the end of the day, that's what I would like. But I think I've got to that stage, it's more important that I do the respecting and the understanding than expect it back. You know, I think if I've got it, it's in my makeup that I just need to keep that level of respect and compassion and understanding happening, so that I don't cause a rift. So that I'd rather that, I think, than, but not that I have much choice in that rift. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen, but to probably more not cause a rift, to bridge that rift, I guess, bridge the rift. So interesting times. And again, we get back to that same thing, you know, do we want to remain of heaven and hell we started out talking about? And I look at that victim and victor, you know. Do we want to come through life as a victim, or do we want to be the victor? I see being a victim is a hell of a life, and the victor is a heaven of a life, you know. But sometimes you've got to go through both to get where you want to go. The known and the unknown, you know, the survival, and the creator, or the creative side of things, you know. Where do we? There's usually two sides to everything. But at the same time, I think we've got to we normally experience both on our journey to now. The victim, I know, as I think I said last time, I've experienced a victim, all right, you know, and I played that role so well. I deserved a Logie, I think, for that one. And I'm experiencing the victor more and more, not from something outside of me, but what's in here. You know, so I think the more I'm going through this adversity, the more I'm finding the victor in me, actually, rather than the victim. So I think that's the choice we sometimes get. Will I play the victim in this, or will I take the stance of being the victor? And that's what I've chosen. Yeah.
Yes, Belinda's saying to be in touch with our feelings, and that is so important. That's because quite often we'll stuff them down, and that doesn't do us any good. It's acknowledging them, isn't it, Marie? And then dealing with them safely.
No, that sums up.
Yes.
And when you think about,
if I'm angry, it's how I deal with that anger. Now, if I'm going to stuff it down, that's going to affect my body. So yes, I have to release it. So pillows are very good. Walks along the beach, or walks where we can let our feelings out rather than taking them out on other people, whether that be close loved ones or strangers.
Mm. And when you think of the word emotion, it's energy emotion. So all emotions are good, all the while they're kept in motion. Come in, go out, come in, go out, come in, go out. But we don't. They come in and we go, whoa, shove that one down, shove that one down. And when they do come out, sometimes they come out a bit like a tsunami. Yes. Because they've been stuck there for so long, you know. But again, I think that when we ask, I'm ready to release this, then the way will be shown always, and a safe place to do that. And as you say, whether that's walking on the beach, I don't know how many tears have come while I've been walking on the beach, because suddenly there's been this release and I have no qualms. I'll go and sit up the back of the beach and let it come. And it doesn't matter. And when I'm angry, I'll ask, show me the truth in this. Why am I really angry? What's the truth behind this anger? And quite often it's something as simple because that person's not doing what you want them to do. And I go, oh, you're right. They're not. Whoops. If only they'd do what I wanted them to do, then I wouldn't feel this way and everything would be all right. So we want somebody else to be different from the way they are. I'll go, oops, okay. And it's amazing when you come up with something like that, how quickly the anger dissipates. Because you can laugh at it. Oh, okay, get that one. So I as you know, we're talking about our feelings are important to let us know where we're at anyway, and important to release them, and because although I was stuck with what we're going to call negative emotions, or unwanted emotions, those emotions we really do want, the joy and the happiness and the excitement and the fun, can't get in because there's no room for them. Yeah. So I think the more we can keep letting everything keep coming in and going out, coming in and going out, then we can have this wonderful turnover of joy and happiness and everything else that goes with it.
Indeed.
So, yeah.
Belinda's saying recognising our needs as well as recognising others' needs. And it's so important, isn't it, to say, oh, I need a hug. How often have I said that in the last 18 months?
Yes.
That, you know, when we're, especially in living alone and being out of contact with others. And I know even well before COVID, when my sons were going through that stage where, you know, it wasn't cool to hug. And I would say to them, you might not need it. I need a hug. I'd like a hug. You know, hugs are just wonderful.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's lovely, again, going through this period we're going through, it's when I say to people, would you like a hug? And they go, oh, yeah, there's so many people that don't want to hug these days. They're scared of hugging. So it's so nice. I said, well, I would love to. So anytime you want a hug, just let me know because I'm all into hugging. And I can remember recently I finished doing a course with Tony Robbins, and it was late afternoon. I went down onto the beach and I was sitting there and I was just thinking about where do I go to from here? And I was aware of this family come down on the beach and a little boy, you know, I would have said 5 or something, on being pulled along by this huge dog on a leash, you see. And so this dog came over to investigate me and started to, you know, lick me. And then the little boy came over and gave me the biggest hug you could possibly want. And I looked at him and he didn't say a word. His parents stopped and looked at me and looked at him, and I'm going, I said, thank you so much. You must have known I needed that. And he didn't say a word. Off he went with his mum and dad. And I'm going, wow, how beautiful is that for a little boy to do that?
Yes.
It was gorgeous. So I'm into hugs. And particularly even more so now for those people that are open to it, I'm happy to offer somebody a hug or ask for a hug.
When people put their hand out to shake hands, I say, I'm a hugger. Would you like a hug? Because I think it comes back to that respect. Just because I'm a hugger doesn't mean that everybody else is. Yeah. And some people might feel uncomfortable with that, especially in these times. But so, yes, it's good. Lots of people give free hugs. There's a lovely lady who lives over in the UK, and she started up a huggers global hug group and offering free hugs And I know people who have started groups like that, simply being in a populated area, maybe in a, well, it doesn't have to be the CBD, does it? It can be anywhere, but where there are quite a few people, and they'll have a placard on saying free hugs or whatever, or a t-shirt's better, because a placard sort of stops the hug. But yes, you know, give me a, and I know I had a mug at one stage that said free hugs or something like that. So
yeah, that's right. I rather like that. Again, particularly today, to be standing on the street corner going, would you like a hug? You know, with a sign, would you like a hug? I'm here, type of thing. Because there would be a lot of people out there that I think would, well, I mean, I've got clients that would love more hugs or more company, you know, going through this difficult time for them. So, yeah, I like that idea. Wouldn't it be nice just to walk around along and see somebody that does that, but also be the person? I might have to give that one some thought. You know, yeah, I'm here every Friday from 11 to 12 for a free hug. You know?
Put it out there.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's something you can do that doesn't take, well, it's enjoyable to start off with. But, you know, I like that idea very much, very much. I mean, people stand out handing flyers out, you know. Why wouldn't you hand out a hug? You know, I think it'd be great.
Now, Belinda's had an act of kindness. Good on you, Belinda. I cleaned a lady's oven just recently, masked up and being respectful. By the time I finished, our friendship was growing. I asked her, can I give you a hug? Which was so welcomed.
Oh,
beautiful.
How lovely. Yeah.
I admire you, Belinda, because cleaning ovens is not my favourite pastime. So
no, mine neither.
Well done, you, on two fronts there.
Yeah. And I think so too. I think there's so much kindness around. There is, and sometimes again, we talked about this before, it takes a crisis to bring out that kindness, but there is a lot of kindness around, and I've found more people looking for hugs just out of the blue. Stop and talk to somebody on the beach and you end up giving them a hug, and I love it. I love that spontaneity, and I love it when people's fears drop away even for a little while, or that they're willing to give you a hug. And yeah, so I think I see, and it's great chatting to you about this, because it gives me an opportunity to be able to share what I see going on in the world, you know, the kindness, the goodness that's going on out there. And yeah, I think it's a good time. In many ways, it's a good time.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. And Belinda got lovely feedback from the lady who she helped and she hugged, and that was so special for her.
Yeah, that's great.
And so we never know, do we? Oh, quite often, what something is going to, like smiles are free as well. And when we see someone else, the simple smile might be all, it can lift a person. And if we can do something lovely like Belinda has done, how cool is that? I don't know about you, Marie, but I know I lift my own spirits when I know that I've done something, a good deed, shall we say.
Well, look, I'm with you, and again, the old me, it's like I needed to do a lot for someone, you know. And it took me a long time to recognize that just someone stopping and asking for directions, you give them directions, you go, and I'm going, oh, that felt really nice that I could direct them in the right way. And then I'd help someone with their shopping, and I'm going, you know, that's not enough, I need more. And it's like, in that moment, that's all they ever needed, was to have someone help them with their shopping, or help someone to direct them in the right place. That's all they needed. They needed nothing more. How more could you have given to them? So it took me a long time to accept it's the little things that do really count the most, the little things. And I think it was Mother Teresa that said, we can do no great things in this world, only little things with great love. And that I remember, and I'm thinking for some people, it's those tiny little things we do that we consider tiny that are huge for them. And when I think about it, when somebody helps me with my shopping, if I'm struggling, it's a wonderful thing. When I get upstairs, I'm going, oh, that feels so nice. So it's all relevant. Those little things are little for us, but big for others. And I agree with you. And I feel so good. I feel so good in being able to share something. And sometimes I'll stop and have a chat with someone to and from the beach. And I might only be there for 60 seconds, but that exchange has been brilliant. You know, it's brought so much comfort or joy for me. And it's been brilliant. So it doesn't take a lot, I don't think. And a smile, I think I read someone, a smile is the same in any language, you know. So I think that if we keep focusing on doing the little things in life, and make kindness perhaps one of our goals in life, and one of our key goals, then wow, how can we go wrong?
Yes. And kindness to ourselves as well as other people. Quite often we'll put others first, and so we need to remember ourselves as well, and give ourselves little treats.
Well, yeah, I must say at the moment I'm treating myself a fair bit. Bits of chocolate and I go, oh, I'm just, this is cool. I'm watching myself do that. And do I want to do that? Yeah, I do. And I'm okay with that. Yeah, it's all good.
Well, I hope that as well as for ourselves, we've given people some enjoyment and some food for thought this morning. Let's spread the love. That can be my motto time and time again. And
I love it. And I love what you're doing and what Annette is doing on your program. I think it's lovely. And each time I've been on here, I've just loved it. You give me an opportunity to express. I felt good last time. I feel great this time, you know, and I'm so glad we had that problem at the beginning, because it really showed me that we can take what would have considered being a problem in the past and just turned it into something and had a good laugh about it. So for me, it's been brilliant. So thank you for inviting me on again. It's been just always good to see you, Annette. Really lovely.
Thank you so much, Marie. Thank you, Belinda, for adding to our morning. She's thanking us for a lovely morning.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
you, Marie. It's been wonderful.
And I will talk to you soon. And lots of love to everyone. Lots of love to you, Annette. Keep up the kindness. Woo.
Thank you, Marie.
Love you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Now, everyone, I'm just going to let you know that what's coming up on Angel Heart Radio. I thought I'd take just a couple of minutes. I hope that I'm right, because tomorrow I really do think that Barry Gray, who was with me last week, will be on with Anaya. I am delighted because Barry is going to come on with me on the last week of the month, and he's going to do readings that was so successful last week. So I'd like you to make some jottings in your diary, because I have guests every week. Next week, Marnie Perner, our resident kinesiologist, will join me. And so Marnie is on the second week of the month, and Rosemary Butterworth at the moment is on the third week of the month. Barry is going to join me on the last week of the month, or the fourth week of the month. And then on the first week of every month, I have the joy of saying that Janet Hickox will be joining me. So big hugs out to Janet and her family at the moment, and big hugs to you wherever you might be. Thank you for joining me here on Angel Heart Radio, and may you spread the love, spread the kindness, and remember the gratitude.